Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy
Morning.
Monday. Missed you
I'm trying
guys
to get my.
last Monday.
Oh shit.
So let's see. You in, right? Can you see me, Morgan? Are you in?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to connect to my AirPods.
Take your
It's not
time.
working. Okay. Okay.
Good
All
morning,
right.
Dan. Support USR, strength in numbers. Good morning, Kilo. Aloha, Maki. You have a blessed day too, Stance. Be seeing you soon because Daytona is we like 20
That's in
days
just a.
away from flight.
Yeah, that's just a
What you
few
say,
weeks away.
Morgan?
It's just a few weeks away.
Yeah. Super excited to see everybody. We did decide to fly, so we booked the flights. Just so much going on here that, like I said, I just want to be able to get down, have a good time, and then get back. So we shortened the trip just by one day. So instead of coming back Tuesday, we coming back Monday. But we'll come. We leave. We come now early Friday morning because Thursday is my son's birthday, so we didn't want to not be here for that. Then my nephew will be here with him. Um, for so we have his little festivities and then fly out early that Friday morning. So I'll be at the airport. We touched down like 8:30 something in Orlando. We're gonna just spend the morning and the afternoon in Orlando and then head down to Daytona that evening. So can't wait to see everybody there.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been to Universal Studios. So I think actually it's funny. It's been over 14 years because Universal Studios is probably actually more than that, 15 years. It's probably one of the first trips we took together before we
Really?
got married. Yeah.
Oh, that's what we went for our honeymoon. I love it. I can't wait to be able to take my kids, and I'm waiting for them to be old enough to do all the stuff.
So what I
Can't
really
wait.
liked about Universal was I love karaoke and I like the real karaoke's like the ones where you can be Beyonce, they give you the fans, the lights, the backup dancers, all of that. So they had that at Universal. No, it was at Universal Studios. They had that. And so like literally that's just what I want to do. Y'all can go ahead and do all the other stuff. Just let me be here with my band and the
Yeah.
fans. Just be Beyonce for that. I just love it. But I love karaoke, and it's like one of the best. Like you can tell them your song and the band, like it's a live band behind you and everything. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And the only other place I ever experienced that I think was on one of our vacations. I can't remember where it was. Good morning, Don D. I can't even remember where it was.
It was like that in
Um,
Cancun. I think I had a similar. I stayed at a similar place that did stuff like that. That's fun.
Good morning, Darren. Good morning, Kilo again. I don't know if you heard me earlier. Maki, in case you didn't hear me earlier, good morning. But I hope everybody has had a wonderful week. If those of you have missed it, if you missed it, I don't know if you missed it, but if you didn't watch Hair Down Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, the highly anticipated clutch that I talked about, and wanting to create my own OD leopard, yellow belly, or asphalt clown actually happens, and it is beautiful. The whole clutch is beautiful. Only one animal in that clutch is going to be for sale, and this is only because he is duplicate of Dad, and I have Dad. I don't need him, and that's the OD leopard yellow belly double hat clown albino. So he is double hat because mom was also albino. So yeah, so I got everything I wanted and more from that class. So I'm super excited there. Actually, in a shed out state phase now. So I get to show you guys them after shed. And then my blackhead clutch, that combination clutch is hilarious, y'all. I'm not sure if I'm selling any of them because, as you know, I want to be blackhead heavy over here, and so it's two males, two females, different combos. The simplest combo is the inchy yellow belly gravel. So that's probably the only one that I might put up for sale, but all the other ones that actually definitely have the blackhead gene in combos will not be. They'll be staying here. And in the clown combo, like I said, it'll only be that one. This is definitely the year of my whole bags. Very little that I'll be putting up for sale for ball pythons, exception with some, like if I reproduce mom or dad, I don't necessarily have to hold them back. But typically, what's happening for me is that I create the next level up, which is the goal, right? So I'm absolutely enjoying this season, and I'm doing this so quietly because I have so much going over here this season that I haven't talked about. So it was good to like kind of spring some things out, and there's more to come. And then of course, when we're in Daytona, the berm clutch is coming. So that's one of the reasons why I want to hurry to get back, because two clutches will actually be hatching. So hopefully one is due right before we leave. So hopefully that pips. Normally my eggs pip on day 58. So hopefully it pips on day 58, which will be a day or two before we leave. And then the berm clutch is due right after, which is like they do the pip on like the 17th. But you know, berms can go anywhere between that day 60 to that day 80. So I just don't want them to pip while we gone. And if they do, it's fine. They will only have been like pipped for a day or two before we go to flight, and we're coming back early enough on Monday where it's not a whole day. And then thank God I have Eric who knows how to cut eggs now. So if Jarek needs your support, I'll just call you. And if you're not going to Daytona, because I know we talked about you might come down, but if my nephew is not in Daytona, he can come and help my other nephew um get through that process. So hey Chris, good morning. How are you feeling? Good morning. All right. So, just a couple updates with that. And so let's get into our topic. So, our topic is red flags at expos, which I think is no better timing to talk about this than now, especially with, behind the scenes. I know a couple collections who are impacted by either a local reptile show or an animal that was shipped into their collection that was related to a reptile show in the Midwest. So I think it's important that we do talk about that, but we're going to talk about it from both perspectives. From what you should look out for as a customer, and what you should look out for as a vendor. And something that happened at a recent show that we did at Gettysburg, we had a new neighbor on with us, which we really loved. Their neighbors from New York. Shout out to them. Trying to remember the name of the company. I got the card because he do have some hypo. He has some sick. I wish I had his card right now because I want to make sure. If not, I'll make sure I put their name and everything out next week, because they have some of the best hypo combos that I've ever seen, honestly. Even at that show, I didn't see anybody else with that much nice hypo on their table. So good morning, Morph Valley. Like I said, they were out of New York. I'm definitely going to be purchasing a combo from him that I really liked. If he still have it, that was on his table. I just wanted to make sure how I like to come. When you're breeding, you got to make sure that you're not spontaneous as you was as a pet keeper. So sometimes you can see something really, really nice, but I really had to come in, look and analyze and see where it will fit in my plans. And it will, because I have some hypo stuff that will be hatching this year too. So I think I would definitely go and grab a male from him. But one of the things that happened was when he came into the show, when they were setting up, so we all setting up, and then there was a vendor who came in, and we didn't know what was going on, but you can see him, very nice guy. He was actually vegan and everything. Like, we had so much in common. My husband kicked it with them. talked to him most of the show. He was very nice and everything, but in the beginning, we noticed that he was giving some heat to this vendor. And we didn't, I'm minding my business. We don't know what's going on. We don't know them to ask them what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't that yet. But we ended up like having conversations throughout the show and becoming a little bit more verbal and just kind of started kicking it. And he mentioned that the vendor who was on the other side, he knows for sure is flipping animals. And he explained why. Well, one of the reasons why is that he actually had purchased an animal from them, and the animal ended up dying within a week, and it was a chameleon. Now, one thing about lizards are hardy unless they're sick. Like, even a sick lizard takes a long time to die. Like, it's not like a snake in a respiratory infection and die. No, it takes a long time to die. So he basically said to the woman that he had did his research, and he noticed that what she must have did was purchase. And I'm gonna tell y'all, as a vendor, this is why I vet reticulated pythons so much, because this happens more, I feel like, in the retic community. And I feel like more people right before a show, especially them shows out west, Texas, Oklahoma, anywhere out there, people start to hit me up so much for retics. But what they're trying to do is quickly flip them. And I can tell. Like, that's why I require you to FaceTime me. Let me see your facility, or let me see your, the animals you keep or whatever. If you claim you're buying it as a pet, let me see the setup you got for, because you're great to get it. You always saying you want it, all that. So it's one of the reasons why I do that. And I say, if you look to my morph market policy right now, it says all the things that I'm looking at, I'm very transparent. You will not flip my animals intentionally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna do all I can to make sure that's not happening. And there's so many ways that people don't realize, directly or indirectly, that I can pick it up in a regular conversation, what you're trying to do. When I can go on Morph Market and see that you made other purchases, and you say to me, oh, I had 3 of this type, and you run down these different types of retics that you had. Well, what happened to the ones that you purchased that wasn't none of those genes? I saw I picked that up. So it's like, you do all you can to prevent it, but people do it. So I can tell you, at Gettysburg, the ball python, like the snake breeders, they're legit. Like, I can tell, like, all of them. And it's the same. One thing about Gettysburg is that that's probably the one show that every vendor rebuy their slot for the next show. Before we leave, we 6 months late. I mean, we're not waiting 6 months. We pay for our same spot for the next show. And so this vendor, I never seen her, there before. She had to be a new vendor there. And by these guys being from New York, I had never seen them before. That was their first time being at this show. So they literally, was like, yeah, they told the show promoters and everything, like, they was that serious about the fact that she's flipping animals, because what he did in his research, he saw where she purchased the animal, had posted a picture of the animal, and then that she had purchased it, and then that's the animal that he ended up buying, the animal that ended up dying. So he had some very choice words for her, and professionally, I can say he handled it professionally, but it was very assertive, and he took the proper steps to make sure that she won't be doing those shows near him. So to go into that, I'll start with the first one. From a customer perspective, one of the things that I look for, Morgan, is when I see customers as a vendor going from table to table holding animals to animals. First of all, we have a strict policy that no one holds animals unless you are planning to purchase that animal. So you want to hold this animal because you're ready to come out the pocket with your money, and you want to inspect it to make sure the animal's health and safety is legit. Okay, that's it, and that's all. We were, this last show, I can tell you, not just us, but every vendor was like that. Every vendor was on their P's and Q's because of the situation that's going on out west right now. And so with this current environment, and especially where there's a lot of children, it's unfortunate because kids do like to hold animals. And one of the things that we used to do was, like, we would take a normal or something like that of I don't like to say lesser value, but something that we're not planning to sell, right? Take a normal or something like that, and let the kids hold that one if they really wanted to hold that one, and keep it separate away from the other animals. None of that either. Nobody was doing any of that. We stopped doing all of that and everything. But one of the things I look for, if you're going table to table, because honestly, as a vendor of the animals that I bring for sale, some are pet quality for your children, but most of them are breeder quality, and I just don't see like my even myself. I'm not going to table and table who wants to hold everything. I'm going to hold the animal that is even most intriguing to me, or the animal that I want to take home. Period. So that's
Right.
one of the things I look for. You can go, Morgan.
Shoot. I had like a whole list of stuff. But I left it at home.
That's okay.
um, I think as a customer, and this has happened to me multiple times, approaching vendors that don't know anything about me and then just trying to sell
Hey, Chris.
anything. I've had multiple people try to say, "Oh yeah, you want a dwarf caiman? I have a dwarf caiman. They make great pets. Here you go," without knowing anything about me, how I keep, if I'm capable, or if I should. The last expo that I went to in Louisiana, somebody tried to sell me a crocodile, like a whole fucking crocodile. And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll sell it to you. You know what? My price is 800. I'll give it to you for 300." And like did not know anything about me. And I was like, "No, this is strange. You're just doing it for the money. I don't trust your integrity at that point." And I've had people try to sell me like dwarf caimans without knowing, and it's people local to me. And as soon as they offered me that, I was like, I'll never buy from these people because they didn't know anything about me.
And vendors don't like, you have some vendors will feel like that's not my problem. Like once the animal is sold, that's not my problem. But that tells you a
Mhm.
lot about how that vendor cares for their animal in
Right.
their care. Because it is your, like, I want to know, like, you, as Morgan would tell you as a customer, I want to know everything about the damn animal. Okay, like I just
Mhm.
want to know everything. And I'll give you an example. The other day, one of the people that I sold at a show a year ago, when I tell you they keep me up to date on everything, they purchased one of the very first female, one actually the most beautiful female super motley that was in that clutch they got. They come to the same show every 6 months, but they didn't come this past time. But when I saw them the time before that, they told me they was building this really big enclosure for her. Oh my God, I get a text message Sunday when I tell you they built the most amazing enclosure for her. And she's only a year old. But when I tell you she has tears. So they built it up and wide. But they built it as if she was an anaconda. She has a bottom level, a second level, and a third level where she can travel from each level, bask on each level. She can swim on that bottom level and that second level. I mean, they hooked it up. It's gorgeous. And for me, if y'all know me, and I go through the process of how my animals are going to live, when I see something like that, I have nothing like that in my house for my animals. All of my animals except for one has one tier. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, uh, that just makes me happy as hell. And I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And it gave me an idea to do that for the cow. Because as you know, the cow think this room is her room. Like she's in this room like 16 hours a day. Then she goes back into her enclosure, comes back out in the morning. So I got a video of that. I'm gonna post that later on my IG. But she literally, the cow likes this. She likes this closet. She'll come out every now and then and surf behind me. You might see me on a live video or something. Like the other day, I was on a makeup live and she just showed up. People down laughing, like, "Is that a snake behind you?" Yes, it is. She just comes out and then she'll go right back in the closet, like the closet is her enclosure. She'll hang from that pole, all of that. She can be in here all day in content. She ain't coming to mess nothing up or anything. I just like this room, this floor, and this closet, which makes me think, because it's one of the very few rooms in here that has carpet. For whatever reason, she likes carpet. It's something about this particular room that she likes.
Matilda does that to my closet. It's the only room in the house that has carpet. And so
So
she'll
would we
leave my
say,
bedroom. I think so. Yeah, she always finds herself in this one little corner. I didn't think about it being the carpet.
Well, let me say, well, this is the thing. She travels from her enclosure. She comes up the stairs. There's 5 rooms when she get up the stairs. She picks this one, this closet. So when I tell you they are very matter of fact, she can go straight to this room. She can go straight to the room. She got to make the left to come to this room. She has to go right to get it. Like she knows what the she doing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So when people say these animals, like, okay, so this is what me and my husband used to laugh about when she first started to do it. We said that if it wasn't intentional, she'll go into one of these other rooms one day. It's never happened. Not even the bathrooms. There's 2 bathrooms on this level. It's the one right here and the one that's in our bedroom.
Hmm.
Never does that. She comes and she comes specifically. And there's nothing in this room, but this is my makeup and my dressing room. That's it. This is the room
Yeah.
that my over it's like my overflow room. And so I'll come in here like if the shoes out in my closet I'm looking for in here, or if I'm getting dressed, like this is where I dress. I'll bring my whole wardrobe in here and get dressed in here. Nothing else is in
Hmm.
this room. There's no other animals. There's no cages. There's nothing else that should attract the animal. There's no rats. There's no rodents. There's nothing but
Maybe
clothes,
just go
shoes,
back.
and makeup. It's the
Yeah.
carpet. That's the only thing I can. That's the only thing I can come up with is that it's the carpet. Um, I don't know, but she'll hang in here all day long. She literally, we took her back 3 o'clock in the morning the other night. My husband was like, literally, she was there from 9 a.m. to 3 in the morning. Yep, yep. And that was just because I had to go. I can't go to a deep sleep when she's still out.
Hmm.
So I was like, it's time to go to sleep. I gotta go to bed, girl. I cannot be half one eye open all night long. So we put her back at 3 and we take her back out about 9 in the morning. We'll take her out after this podcast and she'll come in this room. Y'all see me. If y'all follow me on my new TikTok, my Nikki T. I'll be doing makeup. You're gonna see a big cow come over across every now and then, and she'll go back to her closet. And it cracks people up. They like it's like that's a snake. I'm like, yeah, but she's very intentional about what she want to do and what she wants to be. Um, so my next thing that I had from a customer perspective is I can't stand. Listen, people, when you buy your animal from that other vendor who I don't even know who it is, do not come to my table with that animal hanging over my table or anywhere near my table. In fact, I don't have to say anything. That's the one time my husband is going to insert way before I can say anything. He don't play that, and he homeboy, homegirl, miss, ma'am, whatever he got to call you up on and tell you, you know what, that's it's not even safe for you. Like, he tell
Yeah.
people that, like, you just bought an animal, you don't know us from a can of beans, and you're bringing your animal over here. It's not just about animals. It's not safe for your animals.
Right.
I suggest that you don't do it here at this table or any other table. And I agree. My suggestion to
Yeah.
customers who want to shop and keep those animals, and you don't want to put them in a car or anything because it's not safe either, is get a ventilated bag to put your animals in while you're shopping,
Hmm.
because that is another level of protection for you. But if you come near our table with your animal in your own, first of all, that one freaks me out totally. The people who just walk around with the animal on their arm, like, why? That's
Yeah.
just totally not safe. So that's something else that we look out for. And like I said, I don't have to say a word. That's the one time that you can hear Slim
Well,
just come out the back like, nah, man, you can't have your animal just
I've
sitting
had
here
a
like,
similar as a customer.
hey, Rod.
I feel that, and I've said something to vendors about this. Maybe about a year ago, we went to an expo and we took our kids, and there was somebody there like holding a large boa, and my son wanted to hold it, so I was like, sure. Like he seemed like comfortable and all this. I was talking to my son was holding him, and everything was great. And the vendor started telling me, "Oh yeah, I just bought this animal like 30 minutes ago. He seems so sweet." And I snatched that boa off my kid's back like so fucking fast. I was like, "You just bought this animal. You don't know anything about it, and yet you're offering to let children hold it." I was like, "It's not safe for the animal. It's
Yeah.
not safe for my kid. It's not safe for anyone else here." Like, put the damn animal up. You don't know this animal. I was pissed. Then that's a big red flag to me because he didn't care anything about the well-being of the animal, the other animals there, or the people that are there.
Yeah, it makes it to me like and don't get me wrong, one of the things I love about Gettysburg is that there is a section for educational. So if you wanted to go and hold snakes, they have a section for that. But that's more of the educational side. People bring those animals just for that.
Mhm.
Um Gavin Bowl normally brings a big retic a cat or retic so everybody can see that in
Yeah.
that other room and stuff like that.
And
But
that's
yeah,
that's good. Like, but if you know those animals, like I know that I can take Lucy or Nikita or Antonio anywhere and they'll do fine. But I'm not gonna buy an animal at an expo, take it out of its tub after
right.
30 minutes and be offering to let other people hold it. That
Absolutely. Right.
was dumb as shit. And that was just that it was nothing more than like a look at me type thing. And the vendor ended up saying like he'd never had a snake that big, he'd never had a boa. And a year later, I see him at expos and stuff. I'm just like, we stay away from that table.
And the reality of it is that again, like the expo itself, one of the things I love again about Gettysburg, and I always talk about Gettysburg because I do think because they are breeders by nature themselves, that's what they did for years before they did expos. I feel like their communication, even beforehand to patrons about the care, the quality of the animals that they're going to see, being conscious of biohazards and stuff like it. Like they're very transparent about what their expectations is at the show. They even as vendors go around to each table to put their eyes on everybody's table, everybody's animals, and all of that. They take that extra step to do that. And I cannot say that every show does that, but I can guarantee you that Joe and Jean does. Um, and I think that too, with that cycle of having the same vendor. So like we are normally in the same cluster. Like even this time I kind of like I wasn't right behind Chris from BNS, but I was still diagonal to Chris. So just being in that same cluster of, for me, vendors that I know who care about the animals. I don't stress if I wanted to go and hold a California king snake, I go right ahead to Chris's because I know that Chris is not going to bring a ill animal to the show and put it in my hand. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like just again respect, and or being next to Phil, who Phil got his own $6,000 animals right here next to me. He ain't
Right.
just going to be like, okay, go ahead. I'm going to give you a sick animal that I have because he don't want his $6,000 snake to get sick either. Like I don't worry about that because I'm fortunate to be in that cluster of people. However, I will say that there are other vendors who I'm still, very cordial with that I don't feel hold their animals to that quality. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go to their tables, and I hope they don't come to mine. I'm not saying that that's what's there. What they're presenting at the show seems to be fine. But if I know that you had a pass of anything, I don't want to be at your table.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. If I pick up an animal at a show, I ask seller if it's okay if they hold it till I'm ready to leave. Then when I'm ready, I get my animal. That's exactly
Mhm.
more fairly. That's exactly that. And most vendors prefer that because for me as a
Yeah.
vendor, it's less of a chance of you're not saying you, but that customer being irresponsible, picking up something from somebody else's table and then accusing us of
Mhm.
causing an issue for them. No, you walked around here with that animal, took it to X, Y, and Z table, picked up X, Y, and Z,
Right.
and now that's your problem because we good over here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so for
Mhm.
me as a vendor, absolutely. Even when I buy my rodents, when I if I pick up a rodent order, he'll hold it until the end of the show for me. And then I'll go and load it up or whatever. I
Yeah.
prefer that. I prefer that. I'll actually ask someone, "Do you want me to hold it to the end of the
Mhm.
show?" You know what I mean? Especially if
I've
they're
done
not leaving.
that. I've done that mainly. I've had people hold like animals for like a day or two. because I know I'm not heading back home to Jackson. And so I'm like, I don't have like a setup right now. Can you hold the animal? Let me come back and pick it up either tomorrow or the next day and get it back home to make sure that the animal stays safe and comfortable instead of being whipped around to all the tables and then leaving, going to a hotel and all that extra shit. Um, if a vendor says they cannot hold it, that's happened before. That happened once before, which was really strange for me, but they said they didn't want to be responsible for it after it was purchased. Um,
But if so, this is the thing. This is my thing as a vendor to that response. If you never sold that animal, where is it going to be? Right in that case.
right.
To the end of the day, what in the hell can
Yeah.
happen? What can you be responsible for other than the fact that the animal just randomly died? I mean, what is the odds of that? Like, and if that's the
Yeah.
case, here's your money back. She
I
never
didn't
left
get
the
the
show.
animal.
She never took custody of the animal. Give her money back. Like, what in the hell?
Yep. I
I'm
think
dying laughing at
as
Rock's
a
comment. Right, Rock. It's a reptile show. Everybody got them.
as a woman, I feel like I experience a lot of different stuff at these reptile expos. Because a lot of times, if I'm either by myself or I'm with another woman, or I'm with my husband, but he's at another table, so I it looks like it's just me. And the people say the wildest shit that I feel like men don't experience at expos, especially when it comes to like looking at like larger snakes. I've had the comments, it happens almost every expo. I'll go look at a retic or a boa or some large lizard, and they're like, "Well, why don't you start over here with the ball pythons or the corn snakes?" And I
I would love
die a
for somebody
little.
to say that to me at a reptile show so I can pull out all the big snakes and say this is why. Like, to me that's so insulting. But
It
it's
is
no different
insulting.
from I laugh. Like I said, it's a handful of men in this hobby in the retic world who's always been supportive, and I love you for it. Aubrey being one of my absolute favorites. Um, and of course Jim Jolly, who is I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Jim Jolly. Like I would not on this level because if it wasn't for the very first retic that I got from him that just set the tone for every other retic I would get after, I wouldn't be doing it on this level. But I think it's as insulting for the people who don't know who I am as a vendor when they'll look to Slim, my husband, and they'll be like, so man, how do you handle a 16-foot woo woo woo? And my husband look at him, he's like, I don't, she do. And I love it. My husband will bet he can see it, he can read that. And like they will literally be
Hmm.
talking to me and then turn to him and have a conversation. And he'd be like, no, I don't, she do. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And I love that's one of the things that I love that I think my husband is very proud of too. Like he's amazed at what I can get some of these animals to do. And like sometimes I'll hear him like he'll be downstairs in the basement on the phone or whatever on the game, and you'll hear him be like, "Man, I'm telling you, because she did this. He never takes. Some men will hide behind. He never does that. My husband will make it very clear. I don't fuck with them snakes. Like I might hold the little ones. You might see me pick one
Hmm.
up to move from here to there, something like that. But as far as who's handling them, that's her. That's her.
And so we had a
And I
roofer
just
come. We had a roofer come to our house, and my husband was like, "This is last week or the week before," and the guy walked in, and my husband was like, "By the way, if you're scared of snakes, just don't go in this room. These are my wife's animals." And then the guy proceeded to talk to my husband as if they were husband's animals, and he kept saying, "I don't know.
I
These are my
can't
wife's.
see
Like these are my wife's. They are not mine. I don't hold them. No, I'm not getting one out. She's not here. You have to wait on her." And then he was like, "Oh my God, she's got that big one down there. How do you handle it?" I don't. Like, and when I got back to the house, the roofer had already left, and husband was just like, the guy was pretty intrigued by it. I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I
funny.
hate when that happens, but it is funny.
But it's,
So
I mean,
when
I just take it, I take offense to it when the man is intentional with it. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
after you already told and you're going to persist it. That's when I take
yeah,
offense to it. But naturally, it's weird that we can. But like, again, like I said, it's not because I'm over here just bench pressing 80 over
mhm,
here, 90 over here. You know what I'm saying? It's the way that they help me. The animals are smart as crap. They are so helpful. When
right,
you see me dragging 3 retics, it's because the 3 retics know what to do to help me drag their asses. Okay. It's
mhm.
not because I'm bench pressing, what's that, 80 times 3, 240 pounds. Like, I know I'm not
That's
doing
what
that.
people see me, like, handling Matilda the way I do, and they're like, "You just, like, fling her over your shoulder and do all this," and I'm like, I can't lift, like, that heavy and be that, like,
Right.
fluid with my motions. She
I'll
knows
get
what's
this first
happening.
30 pounds on my shoulder. She'll
Yeah,
drag the
she
other
knows what to
50 for
do.
me. Right. Or
Yeah,
what I love, Hefe, I'll get this part on my shoulder. He'll cramp one, like part of his body to grab in my side, and then he'll wrap the rest of his thing around my leg. So he knows I can walk literally like this to get him to where I need to go. When I go to release him, all I gotta do is put my hand in that side pocket. He releases from there and then come down. When I tell y'all the magic is literally in the animal, it's not in us. We
mhm,
like, don't get me wrong, it does. I don't want to underestimate what we do. It does take a certain level of strength to pick that first one up, to get that first 30 on you or whatever. It does
right,
take a little level of strength, but we're not carrying that weight. Is what I'm
right.
saying. Like, some people be like, "Well, how did you do?" I'm not like, you know, I don't think a grown man can carry that much with that type of weight, because it's a different type of 80 pounds. It's dead weight. It's like, it's not like you bench presses. I can bench press 80 all
It's dead
day. I
weight,
can't
and
bench press.
it's, like, drawn out over 15 feet.
Right.
It's different,
Exactly.
different kind of weight.
It's unbalanced 80 pounds too, because like this part of the body might hold this much weight, this part holds this much weight. So literally you have to not only hold it and balance it at the same time. So
Mhm.
tell him
I
no
think,
problem.
on
Come
the,
by when you're ready to see if it's still available for purchase.
I went to go
Yeah,
buy a snake,
that's a good point.
mm, back in the winter. I went to go buy a snake, and my husband was with me, and the vendor was, he kept turning and looking at my husband, and at one point, I said, "Don't, he has nothing to do with this." And he kept turning to him, like, asking him questions. I'm like, "I'm buying, like, this is my deal." And even my husband was like, I don't even know what you're saying," and ended up just turning around and walking off. Like,
Right.
men are very, it
So
is
that's the
very
type of stuff
intentional.
you hear stuff like that all the time at a show, or where were we? It was a big show. I want to say it might have been Tinley. No, wasn't Tinley. It was a show and it was very hot. And it was probably one of the first shows after COVID. Can't remember which show it was. It was very hot though. But anyway, oh, I know, it was Daytona. And they kept saying, please, please do not sit your animals out in the car, because people was coming in talking about my animal just died. I went to the car, my animal just died. Well, you just was back in here, so you had the animal in the car. So just make, because I think in most people here, because they believe reptiles are like heat, they do. Reptiles need heat, but they don't need
But
to
they don't,
overheat. And,
yeah, they don't need to be cooked. Gee, it's
right,
hot there. What the
exactly.
hell?
Exactly. And I think I remember it might have been Sean Bradley who was like, somebody needs to make an announcement, like, this is just dumb. That people are taking their animals outside and then coming back here talking about animals died. A ball python in a deli cup, 5 minutes in 90-degree weather in a car is a dead animal. That fast.
Yeah,
That fast.
especially in Florida, it's like 95 degrees. What? That
So
should be
Rocket
common
Smiley,
sense.
right. The show we saw you at, Rock, was one of the first time that Slim had to make that comment about, and this guy wasn't even at the table. He was just like, it was just two guys, and you might have seen them, and they was walking around with these ball pythons like they was a retics or something, that they had just bought around the show all day. My husband was like, man, look, I'm just going to suggest this to y'all. Don't come over here. but you definitely should not be having these animals just walking around here like that, and explain it to
Mhm.
him. And the one guy said, "Oh yeah, because I remember when my brother he had this issue with mice and this, and that." My brother and my husband was like, "You know of the issue, and you still." He was like, "Man, I wasn't even thinking. Thank you for letting me know." But I don't know. Like some people, I think is like what Morgan said is just like see what I got type of thing. Well, we
Yeah.
saw it, but as Rock said, it's a reptile show. Everybody got snakes in here.
Right. Or the
It gets
people that walk in with their pets and then just try to stand in the corner and charge $5 to hold said pet.
So Gettysburg does not allow you to bring in your own pets, and I love that at all.
Right.
Don't bring in your own animals. If you're not a vendor, don't bring no animals with you. And I
Right.
love that. There are shows who allow people to do that, and I hate that. Hamburg used to be one of them. I hated it. Like, don't let people bring their animals. This is as a person who keep animals, why would you want to? That
Right.
tells you a lot about the person's knowledge about animals, I think, because most people who keep and they keep uh what I want to use effectively, let's use that word effectively, they understand several things. You don't want your animal. So one of the reasons why I don't let people in my house that keep animals is because if you don't know how other people keep their animals and they come to your house, you are exposed.
Mhm.
I don't have that time. It's too much money invested to be worried about that type of stuff. So when people
Right.
be like, "Can I come over there?" It's no. If I do an event in the area, you can come there because those animals are handled in a very specific way, going there in a very specific way, coming back. These are the
Mhm.
animals that I selected to take out of the home for this experience. And most of the time at those experiences, it's not other reptile keepers. It's people who know nothing about animals who
Right.
are there, with them. And I don't even in with that, I do it under very constructive setups. I like to be where I'm the only one doing the setup. My family, who are very supportive might help, but I don't let outsiders or other people to help with my setup. None of that because it's just that I
Mhm.
have to be conscious of what I have at home. So if these 6 animals are exposed to something, they are quarantined differently when they come back. If I just let somebody come in and just walk around whatever you had or whatever you exposing my whole collection to that. And when I tell you that it's nowhere in hell, you got animals this size that you'll be up all night 24/7 trying to do a every 3 day, once a week treatment. Okay. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You're going to be fighting that thing forever. Poster said people come to the house and automatically believe me. Wife is scared of the snake. My wife is scared of the snake. Got her own snakes that she treats like a lap dog. Yeah, it's just that I don't know. I guess it's a man thing.
Yeah.
Hey Jamie, good
It's
morning.
funny, but I love it when guys make on one hand, it pisses me off, it gets on my
Bill.
nerves, but I love being able to come back and be like, "Well, actually, I'm not here for the corn snakes and, whatever." I went to one table and it actually okay, this is Matilda, the people I got Matilda from. I was looking at all of their retics and I kept looking at Matilda and they kept trying to it's a husband and wife. They kept trying to like give me information. They're like, well, this is a large snake. And I was like, yeah. So I started talking about the differences between my super dwarf and my mainland. And they were like, oh shit, this is a woman that actually knows what she's talking about. And it made me happy, but I knew like initially I don't look like a snake keeper, I guess. I get told that a lot, like, I look like I would have, like, a little chihuahua sitting in my lap or whatever, I guess.
That's
I
one
don't
of the
know.
reasons why I started reptiles and cocktails. I always tell a story when I used to tell people at work when I was in corporate America. I gotta get. No, no, I'm going home. I gotta get home and tell my snakes, and they be like, "Snakes? Like you don't like a person who keeps snakes? What does that person look like?" That's always ask that question. Like, please
Mhm.
explain to me what that person looks like.
I
Um,
did. I asked somebody because I showed up at a birthday party and, with one of my old friend's daughters, and she was like, I just love that you don't look like a snake keeper." So I was like, "What does it
okay,
look like?" And she was like, "Like grungy tattoos and black hair," and piercings everywhere. And I was just like, yep, no, that don't like me, but I don't know why that's the stereotype. Because I know a bunch of women in the hobby that do not match that, don't fit in that box.
And there's many that we don't like that doesn't do social media. Like I'll never forget 2 years ago, I was getting my service on my Mercedes, and I'm in there, and I walk in there, and I think I had on a Lady Tis Exotic shirt, and it was this lady, this girl who I would never even thought kept snakes. You know how you just see somebody, you just like, she was just worried. She was like, "Oh my God, it's you," and I was like, "Who? Like, who is who?" Like, you, I watch you on YouTube. And I was like, "Me?" And she's like, "Yeah." She was like, I keep snakes or whatever." She said, "I don't do social media or whatever." I said, "Girl," like, and I was so excited, like we in the Mercedes having a whole conversation about snakes. I know people
Mhm.
looking at us like we crazy. So she actually only went on IG and she befriended me on IG. She's an IG friend, but she never posts on anything.
Mhm.
But like meeting her, it was like I would stereotype her because
Mhm.
I know what I look like, and I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? But when I looked at
That
her
happened
and
to
she said
me.
she was the one, I'm like, you keep like I looked at her like I could not believe she was
Yeah.
very polished. She was very I don't like to use the word bougie because sometimes people call me bougie, and I'm bougetto. I got two sides. Okay. Um, but she was like
I
very
love
high
that.
end, high class. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of
Mhm.
as if Michelle Obama was sitting in there and was like, "Oh, let me tell you about my retail." You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
was that type of thing. But I laughed so hard. I was like, "See how people stereotype me? I just
Mhm.
stereotyped you because I'd have never thought that she was gonna come out your mouth and say that you keep snakes." But
I've done the
yeah, she
same.
ended up. She watched hair down sometimes. She's just not a big social media person.
The last time, well, I know it was right after I started my Instagram account, all the people that I was going to the gym with had no idea that I'd been keeping snakes. And my instructor like called it out in the middle of our class, and she was like, "Yeah, Morgan, you can." We started to run, and she was like, "Morgan's gonna bring one of her snakes in here to get us all to pick up our feet." And this old lady, she had to have been like 70, bougie as hell. Like everybody in this area is bougie. And so this old bougie 70-year-old lady comes up and she's like, "You keep snakes too? I love that. Let me tell you about mine." And I was just like, "You don't look like a reptile." What?
Right. So that's my whole point is that's why we can't get
Yeah.
offended sometimes because like me and you being the non-snake keeper looking person will
Yeah.
stereotype other non.
Right. It doesn't in general, it doesn't make me mad. It's when people try to talk down to me about it. And then I always like clap back and I'm like, "Well, come back and let them know what I know." And I don't know. Some it depends on how it's handled, but there's been several times where it's gotten nasty. People have made like shitty comments. But for the most part, I don't really take offense to it, but it does make me question, like, I don't know. Why don't I
Yeah.
look like a snake keeper?
So it's so weird, Kilo. I would say 20 years ago it was weird that people kept snakes, but I feel like with social media today, like it shouldn't be as taboo. Like I think I mean, I
Mhm.
guess because we live with them, right? It doesn't seem as taboo, but it just shouldn't
Right.
be. Like I always say this: if I literally the street that I live on is about 3 miles, right? If I went from the top to the bottom, I probably can find two other people keeping snakes right now. We just don't know. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like we just don't know. I think it's
Right.
way more, and I've always said this is way more common. Now, social media has showed us that it's way more common
Mhm.
than we even thought it was, 20
Right.
years ago. Because
I
if you
was
ask me
keeping
in the 90s,
reptiles I was keeping reptiles for 10 years before I ever got on social media.
and I had kept
And
them
then
for 30, I
that
got on
brings
social.
in another thing because people say, "Oh, you've only been on social media for a year and a half. You've only been keeping for a year and a half." Like, no.
No. So that was
Oh.
one of the biggest things when I first started because I came in very educated, right? So, but people was like, well, you just started your YouTube. Yeah. That's because social media, my animals were always my animals. And even right now, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons why, if y'all notice, when everybody started fussing and fighting and everything, y'all, if y'all think I'm going to do videos to be caught up in people's drama, I'm not. I fell back from that and I stuck to my streams because I don't do these animals to tell you how to take care of your animal, how to take care of your animal. I give you best practices that worked for me as a keeper for over 35 years now.
Right.
That's what I do. Now, if someone want to go and keep their animals like monkeys or whatever, that's on them. That is not for me to constitute. I'm not spending
Mm-hmm.
my energy on that. I'm only worried about what's in here, and I can only put out information that I think that will help people to not keep
Yeah.
like those other people. Whereas those other people on social media, they only got here to try to be relevant, and in
Right.
their in ways of attacking other people. That's not Nicole.
Right.
Y'all,
I'm very
I
quick
ain't
to
fighting nothing in
unfollow.
life that ain't
If I
got nothing to
see
do directly.
if I see a video pop up and it's a trending audio or whatever, and that person's like talking shit about other reptile keepers, like, "Ah, this person did this, I would never." No, I unfollow. I don't. There's too much bashing in the reptile community to begin with, from keeper to keeper, because it's like, yeah, I might not keep the same way that you do, but
Right.
I would never make a video saying, "Oh, Nicole does this," or "So and so does this," or I would never do that, and you wouldn't do the same.
Right.
I don't mess with
It's
people
not
like
my
that
energy.
because in
It's not
end of
my
the day,
energy.
like those same people are gonna turn around and do the same shit that they just talk shit about other people for doing. Um,
And my thing is that if you really want to be helpful, and this is something that I say all the time, and the people in the Retic Nation know I'm famous for this. I don't say much in there, but when people start going back and forth, that I got to be the mother, and I'd be like, "Look, this was a phone call to this one, or a text to this one." Like that's the one time
mhm,
because that annoys the crap out of me, specifically because Retic Nation, if you want knowledge, okay, that's where the knowledge is. This is where the people who was breeding normals to normals when it didn't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what people was literally exporting 30 years ago from Indonesia. You know what I'm saying? Bringing in different bloodlines, all that. So this is where you're gonna get if you want correct or and what I love about it too is you can also find out the stuff that hasn't been figured out yet because all the knowledge is there. All the knowledge is in Retic Nation. There is
mhm,
someone who has the information, okay? And if
right,
you can't get it there, that it doesn't exist. That's how I feel. You got it on all levels. You got old school, new school, no school. You got fools. You got them all, okay?
mhm,
You got them all. But that the information is there. If you go into Retic Nation, post a snake, and no one in there can tell you what the morph is, you probably got a world's first, okay? Most likely you got a world's first because they have seen it all, did it all, created it all, and all the ones who are that 15, 20 years ahead in creating that next level. You ain't seeing those sunfire combos as orange as you're going to see as Shane's, okay? Because Shane has been breeding this line back to 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 back for over 10, 15 years. So my whole thing is that if you're in this for any reason other than gaining knowledge, making animal keeping better, and that animal keeping better is subjective because as I said, with the animals I have now, I have one retic who loves the makeup room and this is where she lives. Okay, that's in her head. That's how we work. I have other retics who can care less about any other room in this house but the one that they are currently in. I have one who can care about any other enclosure because she only want to come out of hers. You got to pour her out. Like, come on, girl. All right, I will come out because y'all want me to come out, but I don't want to be out with the rest of them. My point is, I cannot dictate to nobody how to keep. When I say keep, as long as that animal has the water sources it needs, I'm going to tell you, I suggest two for retakes. One for them to shit in and one for them to drink out of. Because they will not drink if they poop in it, and they should. Okay, so just make sure they got what they need. You definitely want a big enough enclosure so they can have even at 16 feet, room to isolate a hot and a cool side and a medium, because they do like medium range too. I definitely think that you need to do that. And I will tell you the basics, but whether you're keeping yours in a grow tent or a whole room, a enclosure that's 10 by 10 by 10, or an enclosure that's 8 by 2 by 2, that's not for me to decide. My thing is to tell you how to watch the personality and to watch the behaviors of your animals to tell you whether or not they like that shit or not. And if they don't, then you should, as a keeper, make the adjustments. I make adjustments for each one of these animals based on their individual needs. Did I have to build the cow a whole new enclosure? No, she probably wouldn't stay in it. It's something about this room and this carpet or whatever else is in this room that she likes. So therefore, I make that accommodation that she gets in this room every single day. If I'm on vacation or like when we go away to Daytona, Michael is here with my nephew. Michael, you're gonna have, and Michael is very familiar with the cow. You're gonna have to let the cow out, bring her in my room, keep an eye on her. Michael knows that. We don't have to do that with no other retake. We don't. We Hefe likes to climb the house. We let him out, let him climb the house. He don't come to this room though. He stays on that level for the most part. If he come upstairs, it's in the hallway. He never comes in this room. So you have to make the accommodations for the individual animal. I in when there's people who are keeping their animals to the extent where their animals are unhealthy and they're dying, I say this: it's still their animals. I am not animal welfare.
Right.
All it tells me is that if you came to me and you recommend, if I recommend a person to buy from, that person wouldn't be one. If I needed to get an animal and I that person have a specific genetic that I want, I wouldn't get it from that person. It only makes it how I will handle transactions or business with that person. As far as how you kill your animals, if that don't harm you, it's not my place. I can't internalize that stress. You know what I mean? It's not my business.
Right. That is something that I pay a lot of attention to. That exposes how animals are kept in
Yep,
their
Darren.
travel containers or whatever. Because I've seen at every single show that I've been to, there's been at least one vendor that has disgusting, um, like travel bins or whatever. And it happened at the last expo I was at. Like you just walk by this table and it just smelled like absolute garbage. I wouldn't buy for them because if you show up with disgusting cages here in public, there's no
Right.
way in hell
Lord
you're cleaning the ones
Jesus.
at home.
Exactly. And that's another thing talking about expos. So one of the things we always do is we definitely do an inspection of every animal in this enclosure, and it's not even necessary because they ain't been nowhere, but we do that. And we have video. We can show you a video of that animal before we took it to the show. Let you see what we saw at the time we inspected it and everything. And that's just like another precaution that we do as a vendor, in case there is someone who is crazy who would just, inappropriately expose their animals to anything like that. We have a full video. It is a bright video. It's a close video, that we do with the animals that we're taking. Now, at some point, like I think around this time next year, would I be able to do that for every single animal? No, it's just going to be too many. But right now, based on the animals that we bring to the show, we are able to do it. Right, Phil smells like what? The only thing we want to smell as a show is what's to eat. What are we eating today?
Yeah.
So yeah. What else, Morgan? Let's do one more from a customer's perspective, and I'll do one more from a vendor's perspective.
Um, I think. Oh, I experienced this at the last expo. Vendors saying, "Oh, this is the only one that I have. I can't come down on the price. It's the only one that I have, whatever." And it's like they're charging way too much for the animal. And then if you walk away and watch them sell that animal, they'll turn around and pull like the exact same thing out from underneath the table, and then go to the next person and say, well, "This is the only one I have. It's special. This is why it's priced like this. I'm actually giving you a deal." That's happened. That happens like maybe like 50% of the expos that I go to. and I experienced like somebody being very aggressive and trying to get me to buy something and then trying to make it urgent that I need to buy it now. Um,
Yeah,
that I
I
pick up on that very
think
quickly.
in this climate, if you're a vendor and you're doing it, like when we go to a show, we already made our mind up what is like. So, and this is just an FYI. Every animal that's on my morph market is always cheap at a show. Why? I get to meet you personally. I encourage the show engagement, the hand to hand. I don't have to
Hmm.
ship this animal, which stresses me the F out. If you ever purchase an animal from me, you already know I don't sleep. So
Right.
this is a value to me to get you to purchase it right here. So I charge less. Normally on Wolf Market, you'll see that if this animal is going to a show, that is $100 less. Sometimes if it's a retic, $200 less, depending on what the actual price is or whatever.
Hmm.
But we already know what that number is. The only time we go down lower is if like this past show, one of the vendors, John, who we're cool with, John wanted a retic from me for over a year now. And him and my husband are cool. And so we did 50% off for him. But he got the
Hmm.
retic he wanted. We still sold the animal, and the animal was with somebody that I know knows how to keep a big animal and all that type of stuff. It's like, to me, the value of that. And I don't have to feed that animal anymore because it's one of the greediest ones I had. So you saving money on not
Right.
feeding the animal and everything. So I just feel like when someone comes to you and you have an animal on the table, unless the animal is already $200, no, of course we're not going to discount it a whole lot. But if you got
Hmm.
an animal that's $1,000, $800, you taking $200 off that animal that probably didn't sell for the last 2 months anyway. It's not going to hurt you at all, especially if it's
Right.
on to a what you call a buyer you really don't have to vet. It's a credible buyer,
Right.
and a lot of times at these shows it's the people you're going to see over and over again, so you now create a constant customer. I
Yeah.
was saying to somebody the other day when they was asking me, about me not having to market my retics like other people or do a lot of shows. Well, this is my magic. First of all, I don't breed a whole lot of retics. To me, if you got to do a show every week, you're breeding too much. um
Yeah.
and in a climate that you already know is not enough qualified customers out there for. And number two, most of my customers are return customers. Most of my people, I'll say 40% of my customers are people who already have one of my animals. The other 60% are
Hmm.
people who are word of mouth from those people who have one, two, or three of my animals. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it makes it so much easier. And for me, the stress is gone because if Morgan refers somebody, Morgan already knows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't even have to go through all I have to need to go through with a stranger. Like, okay, who refer? That's one
Right.
of the first questions I
Well,
ask. Who
that's how
referred
I
you?
found you because that's what Dre was like. Oh, if you're gonna get a retake, you got to go to Nicole. I was like, yep.
And the funny
Okay.
thing is that Ray didn't tell me that he referred you until, like, I think it was 2 days later. He said, "Hey, someone should have reached out to you. Man, you had already spoke. You had already talked, sent your deposit at that particular point."
At 2 a.m.
And right. And I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, I did talk to her. She, because you reached out to me to move market. You didn't say Dre
Hmm.
sent me or anything." But again, the question is when I asked that, and it was like, "Oh, this person referred me." I think Dre might have referred Chris too. I can't remember. But
Maybe.
and then, like I said, the people who just bought from the show, they referred a family who is just like them. Really good people with animals. They had berms. They didn't have retics, and their thing
Right.
was they was always afraid to get a retic because people told them that retics was this, that, and the other. But then they can go to a show
Hmm.
and just pick my retic straight up, and they like, these are not like,
Right.
and these not babies no more. These, they're one. They're pretty size. They're not little babies no more. They're pretty size.
Right.
And so people just being comfortable with that. But I can say that that's another reason why, like, if you're in my ladytids.com network, so if you are a member of my website, you automatically get a discount because you bought an animal from me before. When you buy that next animal, you get another animal. If you pay over $1,000, you don't pay shipping. Like, it's certain perks that my regular customers get because it's worth
Hmm.
having them as customers,
Right. Yeah. I do want to
and they're not
clarify
killing my
about
animal.
when I said like it shows like somebody's being aggressive trying to get me to buy an animal and they don't want to come down on the price. That's specific to people that have something So somebody has an animal for like $1,000, and across their table, there is somebody else that has that exact same animal, same morph, same age, same size, like everything, for like $400. So less than half the price. That, and then they try to make it urgent as to why you need to buy it. That's mainly what I'm referring to, is because if something's good, like I'm not gonna skimp out on the price. It's mainly people trying to overcharge to people that they think don't know
The
what's
real
what.
value.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, and the only exception, I would say, with that, especially in the ball python community, like Aussie's line of Orange Dream is definitely different from anybody else's line of Orange Dream. So it can be the same genetics, but you're going to pay more for that particular line. It is an exception to that for me. Like so somebody can have a super OD pod on their table, and then this person has a super OD pod. One is visually going to be Aussie's line of it, and so therefore,
Hmm.
I would definitely pay more money for that. Like you said, because I know, it's worth
Yeah.
it. It's
Right.
definitely when it's equivalent, and you can see, there's no special thing about their strain or anything like that. But I will tell you, one of the hardest things from a vendor perspective in this market, it's pricing certain animals, and we talk about this all the time in the retail community, because I agree, and I did a video of this on YouTube before. I don't think any retail, not even a normal, should be less than $1,000. However, in the market that we in, they're being sold for that, so therefore vendors have to make the adjustment.
Right.
Um,
I've seen them as
uh,
cheap as like 150.
and they should never
And it
do that.
blows my
Yeah, I've
mind.
seen
Is
normals.
that it's kind of like giving like it's to me it's like the equivalent of giving like dogs and cats away for free.
Yep.
If you have to give them away, they're likely not going to good homes.
Oh, this is my thing. If you can't afford an apex predator at $1,000, you can't afford to feed it. You can't
Right.
afford
You
to
can't
build
afford to house
it.
it.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
thing. And so one of the things that I've done, and it's certain animals that I would not come down on, like the Molly Golden Child Sunfire. Chris is
Right.
probably the only person who got a deal on them, but Chris bought the first one. He got a discount on it, but he paid, the fair price, the fair market price for it at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I never came down on the Molly Golden Child Sunfires. I never came down on the Motley Sunfires. I mean the Mochino Sunfires. The even the normals though, like the one normal that I held back, that was one of my things. My thing is she's a beautiful normal. I'm not selling a normal. Like you can go to a show and you'll see normals on the table for $200. I refuse, because even
Hmm.
that normal, she's had albino, is gorgeous, and so I just chose not to sell her at all. I bet the value for me is to keep her and breed her
Yeah.
down the line. Maybe create another
Normals are
high.
gorgeous and very underrated.
They're all the first of all, normals are the prettiest retics out there, especially when you got a good Bali head. They are the most gorgeous animals
They are.
um out there. Same thing where I feel about berms though. Our normal berm is the most beautiful berm. Actually, in this clutch, I'm hoping that I get more normals that look like him, his normal, than hypos. Because that's
Hmm.
how pretty Big Meech is. His goals, and that's why everybody seems to think he has hats that we don't know. And hopefully we can see it in his breeding. Like if there is any hats, that maybe some influences that we can probably pick out from somebody with an educated eye. But he's a gorgeous normal. And I told my husband and my son the other day, every time the more and more he shed, I don't think I have a prettier animal, and that includes the cow, than that normal bird. That normal berm is gorgeous. His golds, his browns, and he got that silver that just sparkles in the sun. Shits on a cow's pattern in the sun. And as beautiful as a
Wow.
cow retic is, I have to show y'all one day the normal in the sun versus that cow in the sun is a perfect expression of don't sleep on a normal, especially not a normal berm. That thing is gorgeous. And I say the same thing about a good Indonesian retic. It's just absolutely
There's nothing
amazing.
else like it. You
It's
can have
nothing
all
else
the
like
morphs and all the things, but the normals by far are the prettiest. And they because the morphs are so like overdone at this point. I feel like when you see a normal, they're like, oh my God, wow, what is that? That's a normal. Everything else that you see is they're morphs. I've never seen a normal at an expo. I don't think I've ever seen a normal in person.
Right. Actually, I think that one is gone. Actually, I think that's the one that, well, it was two that day that it was the albino Motley golden child that actually is gone. I only have one, and that's the Motley Sunfire, which yeah, she's on Wolf Market, but that's the only retic I have now. And T'Challa drops her new clutch, and I hope this clutch is tigers. I hope it's not a retained sperm from the last clutch, because I do want the double heads this time. So we'll see when she drops. She's definitely getting to that point of her trying to move the eggs down. So
Yeah.
it's a lot going on over here. All right, y'all. So yeah, that's a wrap for our show for the day. Morgan and I are, again, we love taking suggestions. So anybody have a suggestion for next week's show, please inbox myself or Morgan. And so we can go ahead and coordinate that. Um,
This topic was a suggestion from somebody. Hippie Exotics, who I went to the Louisiana show
okay.
with last weekend. We were driving back and we were just talking back and forth about all the shit that we experienced as women at an expo.
Thank you, Rob.
And she was like,
Thank
this would
you.
actually make a good topic.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate my, and I think that's, at the end of the day, I love doing topics that other people suggest, because like I said, sometimes it really is thought provoking, or requires us to do research. I love when it requires us to do research. That's just, it's just an experience, because again, no matter how long you be doing this, you learn so much. Like one of the best shows that I feel like we did, that I have retained so much from, is the one when we did the venomous snake identification. I learned
That was one
so
of my
much just in
favorites.
rattlesnakes alone. Yeah, like just the rattlesnakes alone. I'm definitely appreciate all of you, and definitely appreciate y'all putting up with me again last week. So sometimes y'all life just be flying by. Um, and it's so funny, Morgan, you talked about that following week about going on vacation coming up and all that type of stuff. And it never hit my head that my anniversary was that upcoming week too, and we was not going to be home or anything. And I was like, oh shit, like that morning, like it was like, oh, I had to get like the night before all of my stuff together and all of that, because I was doing too much and I totally forgot. But I appreciate that, even though y'all know that we not there, y'all know we're coming right back. Sometimes to me it's just that it'd be so late, it don't even make sense to make a poster saying, hey, we're not coming. I figure when y'all see it, it's nothing posted there, y'all know we ain't coming.
But for the most part, we'll be here.
Yo, Phil, I gotta look.
Oh man, so the Slidell show is amazing.
I can't with Darren. I can't.
Addison went to the one in Mobile yesterday or the day before, and it looked absolutely incredible. I want to get to that one soon.
Darren, are you going to be in Daytona by any chance? We would love to meet you in person. Darren said he was in the chat since last week. He never left.
Just wait on us. Just to let everyone know, like my dedication to the show. It's now 6:15 where I am. I had to get up at 4:30 to be on here.
Oh,
and I'm traveling today.
I feel you, because when I was in California and we had to do the show from there, and it never dawned on me until that morning I was going to get up 5 a.m. I kept telling Dre, I'm tired, it's crack. And it was when I was doing the cancer walk. So imagine walking 20 miles, I had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning the next morning. I was like, oh, I'm tired, it's crap. I'm trying to make Tilly in October. Well, we're gonna definitely do Tilly. I think we're gonna do October. We're not doing March ever again. March, that last March we did when it was just so cold, I couldn't.
Oh, I want to make it.
Okay. I'll see you in Gettysburg then. All right, y'all. Well, everybody have an amazing day. Morgan, when you travel back?
Today. Just what I'm saying, like as soon as I get off here, I'm gonna start packing up. We're gonna leave in a couple hours.
Okay. Well,
I'll get
have
to see
safe
my
travels. North.
babies sometime in the middle of the night.
So you flew, right?
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
gonna
I was
get
gonna
back
say
to
you
New
don't even drive.
Orleans.
Okay.
Oh hell no! I'm gonna get back to New Orleans at like 9, 10 o'clock tonight, and then just drive back to
Okay.
Jackson. So I'll get to see all my animals at like 1 a.m. I'm very excited.
Wow. All right. Well, have fun because I'm sure it's gonna be a whole lot of
Um,
shittings when you to
try
clean up when
fun.
you get back. Phil, I'm gonna go look.
Um,
All right,
all
y'all.
right,
Have a
y'all
good
have a good
one.
week.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you later. Oh, wait a minute.